Welcome, travelers. I'm Lee Wanika of Tabletop Journeys, and this is On the Right Path. Welcome, travelers. I'm Lee Wanika of Tabletop Journeys, and this is On the Right Path. Hey, everyone. I was in the middle of another writer's block session. I was trying to work on different things and kind of hit a wall. Didn't know where I was doing, so I did what I usually do in that situation. Get on the internet, scroll, let's watch some videos, try to get some ideas. And in the middle of one of those Facebook doom scrolls, when I thought no inspiration was coming my way, I came across a question, and it was a question that really struck me, got me thinking. When I get thinking, I start to get creative, and when I get creative, I always want to share a bit of that with you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share some of that creativity, some of that inspiration, and my thoughts on it right here now, and then I'm going to get right back at the writing bit. So let's get into it. The thing that came across was a simple question, and on face value at least, it's the kind of question that one thinks about as being easy, but the reality is it's not always that easy. And the question was pretty simple. What's the easiest VTT to use? Now, the person asking this question probably is relatively new to VTTs and how to use them, or they're being asked to use them. So they were really looking for advice on what direction to head, where to go. The trick is that's not an easy question. In fact, it's a complex question with a lot of great answers. But in order to get to those answers, you have to know some things. You have to have some information so you can make an informed decision. The way I think about it, there's four major factors that impact which VTT will work best for you as a game master. Similar things, or the same four things, honestly, matter for the players at that table. So if you're putting together a group, you're going to want to know these four things about yourself as a GM and the players who will be at that table. And here they are. I'm going to give you a quick recap on those four things, and then we're going to dig in and talk a little bit more about each of them. Know-how, capability, comfort and accessibility, and lastly, game prep, limitations, and availability. These are the things I think about before I make decisions about VTTs for myself, or honestly, before I advise people about what VTT might be a good idea for them. When it comes to know-how, your skill level with electronics, programming, things like that, how well do you utilize new apps, etc. That's really what makes the difference. If you're good at computers, if you're great at programming bips and bobs and doing all those things, and that's fun for you, that's important information to hold on to, note for when you're answering those questions later on. But it's not just about the GM who's setting this up. It's also about the players. What are their skill levels with text, with apps? Do they find it easy to learn how to use new apps and new technology? If they struggle with those things, you might have to take that into consideration when you're planning what VTT to use. Capability. What devices are you as a GM planning on using? How updated are your devices? Do you have a consistent internet connection? What's your bandwidth or internet speed like? Is it consistently strong enough to maintain for the VTT you're thinking about? What game systems are you planning to play both now and in the future? Because different VTTs do different things or are better or worse for different game systems. So what VTT you use and what game system you're playing, that has to come together. Now, How much automation do you want in your VTT? Do you want to press a button and make it do its thing? And is that automation at the table in the game? Or do you want that automation in just being able to set it up? Do you want to hit a couple buttons and it's ready to go? Or do you want to take some time to set it all up so that when your players hit buttons, it's ready to go? On the player side, what devices are they using? How updated are their devices? Do they have internet, bandwidth, and all of that? Honestly, what game systems do they like playing? And how much automation do they want? If you have players that struggle with math and you're playing a game that's a bit crunchy, having a VTT that does all the additions and special effects and does all that math for you is very important. However, a VTT that only does some of it, but not all of it, can add to a lot of confusion and delays and less fun at the table. Comfort and accessibility. There are so many options here. And do you want apps that have all of those options, all of those capabilities? Do you want every person involved to be able to program a look that works for them and color schemes and all, again, bits and bobs that can specialize and set up special die rolls for specific equipment or combat roles? Or do you just want it to basically be an enhanced theater of the mind experience? It's kind of just ready to rock. Does it view in a way that's comfortable and fun and easy to understand for you as the GM as you're setting it up and as you're playing? Similarly, all the same questions apply to your players. What's going to work best for them? What are they going to be comfortable with? Do they have issues and concerns that, as far as accessibility, that are important? Finally, game prep limitations and availability. Quite honestly, what does your prep time look like now before you started doing VTTs or before you started considering VTTs? What do you want it to look like after you select a VTT? Do you want that prep time to be longer or shorter? Based on the other questions, is the VTT you're about to choose going to make that prep time longer or shorter? And for players, how much prep time do they need to utilize this VTT? Does it take them forever to load the page because they don't have that consistent bandwidth? Is there significant lag time whenever they use the die roll on that page? Eventually, that gets frustrating and annoying. Are there lag times in conversations? What do they have to do to prepare a character for this VTT? Is that something the GM's going to maintain, or is that something they're going to have to maintain? Do they have to make additional purchases to be able to play in this on this VTT? There are some where it works one way if a person has a free account that's playing at your table, but if they pay for this or they pay for that subscription, it's going to work better for them. Will it be a good experience if they stay at the free level, or do they really have to buy in to get the better experience? In the end, each of these factors is very important, and each of us as individual game masters, each of us as individual players. And honestly, I'm a game master and a player, and my answer to that question is different depending on which chair I'm sitting in. These factors influence what's going to work best for us. When you think about it, then you can make a decision, but you got to do so from an informed standpoint. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on VTTs? Do you love them? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you have a favorite? Do you not care? Do you only play theater of the mind? Let me know. Let us know. Talk to us. Leave your comments down below. Leave ratings where you can. Smash that like button. Ring that bell for notifications, because whenever we drop on this particular vlog or Tabletop Journeys, you're really going to want to get in on that, because we've got some great content coming up this year. And as I said earlier, if you want to try out new systems, especially some of the ones that you're hearing about on our channel, come visit us on our Patreon page. Like I said, every now and then we have a couple seats for free level of our Patreons. And if you find yourself really wanting to get on those tables that fill up very quickly, you can always join the Patreon at one of the variant levels so you can be one of the first ones notified of an upcoming game. Share this with your friends. If we keep getting more people, we'll keep having more tables. So if you want to try new games, one-shots, mini campaigns, longer campaigns, this is the place to go. I just want to recap for everybody. Those 4 things are so important to keep in mind when you're thinking about what's the VTT for you. So one last time, know-how. What are you good at? Capability. What can you handle? Comfort and accessibility. What are you willing to handle? Game prep, limitations, and availability. How does your time work? Do you have the time for the types of things that you're interested in? If you can answer those main questions, then you have the ability to steer people to good advice. More importantly, you have the ability to get those answers yourself. And if you're asking me and you can't ask in the comments below, give me the answers to those questions. And maybe I can help give you some ideas, because my goal here is to provide information, point you in the right direction, and make sure that you, all you great GMs and gamers out there, are on the right path.